In their heat of confusion and angst over what has been discovered, or actually it's discovered about USAID and the National Institute of Health and money laundering, it appears. Chuck Schumer, of course, has lost his mind, so have many other Democrats. Eric Swalwell, writing about Doge, put this up on Twitter. Until today, you could file your taxes for free. Trump just took that away from you. And then readers, of course, with community notes on Twitter, added a response. This is incorrect. It is still up. An IRS direct file is still accepting tax returns. It's right there. But truth simply doesn't matter to people who are in such a panic. This is Chuck Schumer, and he's talking about the American people and unelected bureaucrats, which is funny because no one elected any of the bureaucrats who've been running Washington, D.C., who are the very, very fabric of what many people call the deep state.
The American people, mark my words, the American people will not stand for an unelected, secret group to run rampant through the executive branch. Being innovative is good. But, Mr. Musk, this isn't a tech startup. These are public institutions that deal with things like Social Security and Medicare and national defense and provide for the well-being of the American people. And the American people have a right to be part of that debate. Part of that debate.
I feel like they were when they voted. Well, in fact, speaking of unelected people, who voted for Kamala Harris in the primaries? Just asking. Sorry to interrupt, Senator.
The elections occurred, and one viewpoint got a few more votes than the other.
A few.
That doesn't mean we throw out democracy. That doesn't mean what's been done for centuries in this country should just go out the window and be substituted by a small group of people who think they know a lot more than the wisdom of the American people.
What is Doge doing? Is Doge stopping payments? Are they withdrawing money? Are they creating diktats? They are providing information, and it is panicking them. They don't want people to have this information. Chuck Schumer's forgotten 2020. I don't want to talk about medicine. I don't want to talk about interventions, medical interventions. I want to talk about bureaucracies. And people should have a say. And we can't have unelected bureaucrats running rampant through the executive branch. I want to talk about that. And we'll just go to a source, just a simple one. We'll just go to PBS, government-funded broadcaster. I'll do that in a second. Right now, I'm going to tell you something that your friendly big pharma exec doesn't want you to know. If you experience a lot of inflammation, and this is really bad in America, particularly if you eat a lot of sugar, you sit a lot on a job, your job is high stress, maybe you do a lot of physical exercise, and perhaps that's job-related, or at older ages, exercise can cause you to swell up and feel really inflamed. Ibuprofen feels super good when you take it because it really does make it seem like the inflammation's going away. I learned that inflammation is made worse by ibuprofen because it attacks your stomach lining. It really kind of destroys your stomach lining. What happens is particles that don't belong in your blood get in your blood, in your bloodstream. That can cause inflammation. Body doesn't know how to deal with that. I'd taken ibuprofen. I'd gotten hooked on it. I was up to taking 4 pills at night, often 2 in the morning. And maybe you're this way. If I could give you a natural substitute for that, would you take it? What if it was only $19 per bottle? What if it came from the purest waters in the world? I'm talking about Antarctic krill and getkrill.com/Todd. These soft gels come from 73 miles off the Antarctic coast. They are a fantastic but hidden way to increase your blood circulation. And it's a super nutrient that you add to your diet. It contains a huge and really bioavailable series of omega-3 fatty acids in a very unique form with unique power. It is what I use and no ibuprofen. I haven't had ibuprofen in, a year since I've been using this stuff. This minimizes foot and leg swelling. It reduces joint pain. It can slow aging and the systematic and central inflammation diseases that can create all sorts of havoc in your body. Also encourages metabolism. So do this. Boost your health with Native Path Krill Oil. The website is getkrill.com/Todd. That's getkrill.com/Todd. Visit that today to find out what specials they have for you. It's getkrill.com/Todd. Chuck Schumer done forgot 2020. Again, I don't want to talk medicine. I don't want to talk medical interventions. He said we can't have unelected bureaucrats running ramshot through the executive branch. I remember, thinking back.
There's an ongoing story that we're watching closely, and that is the threat of eviction that now is something that is reality facing thousands of you. Our senior investigative reporter Bob Siegel is on this story, and now he continues his work explaining how the Fed is now blocking evictions and shows you a new tool where your family can get some help.
Here in Indiana, researchers say more than 300,000 households are now at risk of eviction, a devastating side effect of the COVID-19 pandemic. For families facing that risk, last month the CDC announced a nationwide eviction moratorium. The order temporarily halts residential evictions through the end of this year, meaning landlords cannot evict a tenant for non-payment of rent if the tenant meets certain criteria under the order.
The CDC eviction moratorium, it's really unprecedented.
Chase Haller is Director of Housing and Consumer Justice for Neighborhood Christian Legal Clinic. He says the CDC's order can help millions of people, but only if they know how the program works.
And he wanted to make sure they knew how it works. So-called doctors seized an important portion of the American economy, housing, unelected people operating with powers no president has ever expressed. And I saw the results of this. When I worked in radio in Seattle, in morning radio, some very loyal listeners of mine had built their retirement around houses. It worked as, I think the husband was a cop. I know that the lady was a teacher. They pooled the resources and they bought investment properties. And they sacrificed. They lived in a small home themselves, bought these other nice homes that they were leasing out, covering the mortgage and providing them cash flow. Some of these houses were paid off, but they still have to pay the property taxes. That was their source of retirement. I mean, yeah, they had the packages for retirement, but this was how they were living. Until out of, I think it was 5 homes, 3 stopped paying rent because they didn't have to. That couple, in order to make their financial life possible, had to rent out their primary residence to people who would pay in advance to live there. They got a discount, the renters, because my listeners agreed to live in their garage and to bring in a porta potty so they could live. Yeah, Chuck Schumer, we could never allow an unelected bureaucrat to run roughshod over the American people. Thank goodness that didn't happen in 2020.